Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We're in career and mission growth today. Another live interview you with one of my partners. This is Heather, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to her. So, Heather, hello. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm even better for this. I'm super excited. First time we've sat down to do a conversation like this where we can help people watching. If you're entrepreneurs or you're in your career or your mission, you're trying to figure out how to get to the next place for you. There could be some things in here for you. We'll be really quick. If you want to watch this on replay, you can stick it on 2x. You'll go twice as fast and have this done in the next 12 minutes or so. And that won't bother us one bit. We want to help you. And if there's something we can do today to do that, great. So let's start this off. I'm going to just run through a series of questions. So Heather can tell you a little bit about who she is. If you've been watching my content, you know a bit more about me. But let's start with this. So Heather, who are you and where are you? And tell us a little bit about who you're going to become. That would be great.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm Heather Hargrove. I'm a Capricorn. No, I'm kidding. Um, I am a badass co-parenting mom of two amazing teenagers who currently lives in Florida, but is looking to vacate the premises and travel the world because why live in the US your whole life? And I am a accidental entrepreneur. 100% did not plan this, and just trying to change not just my life, but my family's lives and other people's lives, just one day at a time.
Yeah, I love that. So tell us a bit about that accidental entrepreneur. That was the thing that stood out to me, maybe to people watching. How did you become an accidental entrepreneur?
It was never in my, it wasn't on my bingo card, right? Like every year it wasn't like, this is what I'm going to do. Or when I was little, also wasn't like, I want to grow up and like create my own thing. Even when I was like playing, games, I was never like owning anything, right? I always figured, when I was growing up, college. So I did military. And then when I got out of the military, I did college, had babies while in college, got married while in the military. So did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do. And was doing really well in corporate for over, 2 decades in sales, operations, business growth
Wow.
and development, cleaning things up, right? And just one day by happenstance, I was in Nashville at the Gaylord. I was there for a different conference, and mind you, Funnel Hacking Live was there. Never heard of it. I made the mistake and Googled it. And then, yeah, 2 months later, literally quit my job, drained my 401k, and like, I don't know how I'm gonna translate this into the online space. I just know that it's gonna work out. I know that I'm smart. I know that, thank goodness, I was really good at tech, and that was like the thing that got me like to be like, oh, I can do it. And I just went all in and never looked back. It's
Great.
very weird. Nobody understood what I was doing for a while.
So, and just for the viewers, the world of funnel hacking live, if you don't know, is the world of a gentleman by the name of Russell Brunson.
Mhm.
That's his flagship event where all kinds of crazy stuff happens. It's high energy, but it is critical for many entrepreneurs, especially if you want to be in the online world. And that's where Russell's domain is. So like Heather, you can bury yourself in that. So that's entirely up to you. If you are looking to build your business and you're looking to do that online, Funnel Hacking Live is not a bad place to start. It's actually a very good place to start. And don't set your expectations too high about what you can achieve. Just go there and learn. Yeah, love that. All right. So you said sales and marketing and operations background in your corporate career. What kind of
Yeah.
industries were you working in? That would be good for people to know.
Oh yeah. So let's see. Everything before military was the usual growing up restaurant, cleaning things up
Customer
there.
service. Yeah, we like
Yep,
that. Yeah.
all that good stuff. And that's where I started my sales and really learning how to like multitask and figure things out. And then after the military, so in the military, I was an NCO, so I was just in charge of people, maintenance, all that stuff, just kind of being in charge of things that are moving all over the world. And then when I got out, I worked with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So I worked with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I
Okay.
believe, for about 4 years while I was working on my bachelor's in accounting. And while I was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, very customer service based, high energy, inbound, in-person sales as well. Plus is like, I worked a lot in the corporate stuff. So really helping these large accounts maintain their customer service, planning trips way in advance, communication, billing aspects, all these moving pieces. And also some fleet management. So you have these cars, you got to know where they located, what repairs need to be, like all these different things to track your numbers. And then when I left there, I started doing for a short term, because I was like, transition, I got a bachelor's degree. What do I want to do? I worked for a nonprofit for a little bit where I was traveling and working on getting people who had a bachelor's degree that wanted to become teachers, help get them certified to become teachers. So they weren't considering education when they first started school, finished school, wanted to get an education. So I was literally traveling the US, finding locations in order to host these events and to get people to sign up, show up, and really just doing these in-person events where we were just educating them on a path and inviting them if they want to take the step. So did that. And from there, kept it with education. So I was doing enrollment and for military. So military enrollment at a university while I was getting my master's, because when you work there, you can go to school there for free. It was amazing. So I got my master's degree in public, yeah. So I got my master's degree in public administration with a focus on governmental management. I liked writing policy and seeing the way that we can make the world a better place. I always want to be like behind the scenes. That was my favorite place. Never this in front person. So when I was working in the education realm as well, that was for about, I think about 2 years. And it was a lot about enrollment, and from the moment of enrollment to signing up for a class, and these more of like customer journeys, experiences, these nuances that come from like a sales to actually getting them to show up and start and go through and succeed. From there, once I got my master's degree, I did logistics, which if you don't know logistics, all the big ships, containers that are shipping things over the ocean, all the big trucks that are over the road, everything moving like that you're using right now. And that's a crazy industry to be in. Like it's just nonstop. And it was 24/7 availability. You had to be able to pick up a phone no matter what. And you're selling to the same customer over and over again. Every single shipment that they had, you had to sell to them that they should use you over somebody else. So got into management, everything there too, and really cleaned up the way that everything was working. And then burnt out, exhausted, had these adorable children where I was like trying to sit and eat dinner with them, and I'm getting like back-to-back calls because a pickup number and a load isn't working, and then I can't get a hold of the customer, and then do like all these different things. So I left there, started to work with a tech company where we basically would go help other companies, larger companies that needed software development teams, help them implement and bring in our software dev services and help them utilize us as their development team instead of hiring on their own. And that's when I happened upon Funnel Hacking Live. And then I was
That's where
like,
you got lost in
oh,
the Gaylord.
yes.
You said it was it in Georgia? Was it where you were?
That one was in Nashville.
Nashville. That's right.
I believe it was like 2019 in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So for those who listen to that story, vast experience in customer acquisition, customer onboarding, management of a customer through their journey, and the things that really stood out to me about those roles you've done is you've got this customer facing experience, but you are somebody who excels at systems and processes, policies. You mentioned probably the creation of playbooks and making things work efficiently in the background for some of these big ticket items, as well as maybe small ticket items, and send it as high volume transactions for consumers. Is that about right? About the summary of what you just said?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So how do we tie that? I want to tie that to people watching.
Yep.
There's a good lesson for you in everything you just heard. Your past equals your future earnings. And most people are going to lose sight of their past because they may want to leave things behind. A lot of people give you bad advice about leaving things behind. No. Everything you just heard from Heather is the good thing about the future and her future earnings. The chances are, based on what we just heard, don't you think money's going to take care of itself? And she did all this as a mother of two. So if you're a female out there and you've got kids and you're wondering how to do this in the entrepreneurial space, or you're just trying to manage your career, Heather would be a good contact for you. So I think that would be something. So now we know a little bit about why you do what you do, because you've got two great kids.
Yeah.
How you doing, Elijah? Right? We talked about that before we
Yeah.
came on it. Yeah, wonderful. And tell me a little bit then, why do you do what in your sense? What's your mission? Why are you doing what you do now? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's funny. Until recently, I've just been really listening to The Gap and the Gain by Dan
Dan Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
And I think part of it in there too is like the why. And they're like, everyone's always going to ask you like the why. Like he's like, at some point you can just say, because I want to, because I just want to make it happen. And that is like part of it. Like I just to prove like because I'm good at it and I want to do it and I want to succeed at it. And I just know that it's just the path that I want to take, and it fills me up with joy. Another reason why is because just spending so much time seeing people burn out around me, and just the like in every industry that I've worked in. And this is where it's like, I'm a huge believer in using technology to help companies work better and have people work less without losing any of their money that they're making. Like I want them to implement technology and systems and still pay their people very, very well. Right. But I wasn't seeing that. I was either seeing them using technology, but then still adding on additional hours and making up things as they go for tasks that they want people to create, and people just get burnt out. And then even in my time in the online space, like I'm usually just kind of trying to check up on people, and next thing you know, like they're not there anymore. They're like, their Facebook is done and they've like completely given up, and they've just burnt out because when they first started, they were surrounded by people that were telling them that they have to work all these crazy hours and you have to do everything this way and you have to hustle and grind. And I'm like, first of all, I don't have the mental capacity for that. Like in any way, like I want to take a nap sometimes at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And when I want to, I do, or I go to the movies. It's great. And then I'll come back refreshed and be like, okay, what do I want to have fun with and focus on? But I really want to show people that you can do that.
Yeah. So pause that thought, because I want to ask you what you do. And I also want people to know how you do it.
Yeah.
Now I've said that, trying to recapture my thought.
Sorry.
You were talking in there a little bit about the burnout piece. So this is kind of personal mission that you're very aware of the physical and mental drain on a person's health. So you've kind of got this personal mission, which is about your mothering, is this caring and giving and loving individual that says, I don't believe people should go through that. And so your professional mission, kind of what I heard is make business easy. That you've got a philosophy and a model, which I'm going to ask you about right now, that is going to allow people to make their businesses easy. So if you're already an entrepreneur and you're watching and you're fitting the mold, and you can see why Heather would be so valuable to you, meaning you're female, you're badass, you've got kids, you're trying to make the entrepreneurship work, probably want to reach out here and have a conversation. And look, everything we both do, and I wouldn't be partnering with Heather unless I believe this to be the case, is mostly for free. So this isn't about you making a connection and Heather pitching you on something. This is about you making a connection with somebody who wants to help you. And if later you want to get into a commercial relationship because you can see high value, do that. So let's talk about that value. Let's go into, what is it that you do? Tell us, what do you do for the clients that you work with?
Really just help them create a business that they love again, which is amazing. There's a lot of online strategies, and no matter who's teaching them, they're all pretty much the same, right? Same kind of different things, maybe taught a little bit differently, or somebody can talk to you a certain way, right? Like when you talk to me, it's like, I'm going to hear something differently because you put it in a way that's good, that you think about it, right? But a lot of what we do is lead generation, like how do we find people? Conversion, how do we convert people? And then delivery. And then that delivery turns into retention. Like how do we onboard people into our space? And then how do we keep them there, right? And what I noticed is in all of these teachings, everyone was telling people to do all these things, but they weren't showing them how to do it. They weren't helping them with the tech side. So I simplified the tech. Yes, it is.
I have the philosophy. I know how to think about this, but you didn't tell me how to push the buttons.
Yep. And so I started taking that and creating just simple ways to show them how to start implementing these simple strategies, utilizing technology instead of doing it manually, how to actually get comfortable with the technology,
Nice.
the technology. Cause like for me, it's simple. Some clients of mine were like, I don't even know, I'll be like, can you click on the tab? And they're like, what's the tab? And I'm like, oh, okay. So what you're going to do is, right. And that's like really taking somebody by the hand who's not comfortable with tech to sending their emails, utilizing their systems, finally getting in Slack, and managing their team. But it's being there as a source to support them and be like, I get it. Like it's hard, and don't apologize to me if you're asking the same question, because you're going to get it.
So
Yeah.
let's define a customer.
Yeah.
So typically, it sounds like you're not actually, even though you can help the solopreneur just starting, most of your clients are people who are established. Is this right? And that
Correct.
there's either themselves with a lot of technology around them, or it's themselves plus a small team, or a team that's growing, and they've got disparate systems that don't talk to each other, or absent systems. And you talked about kind of 4 steps. So I made a mental note and then I wrote them down so I could repeat them. You help people with lead generation. Lead conversion is actually getting those customers sold and in, and then you help them, what I call, deliver awesome. You help them deliver awesome so that you are using your customers to actually fuel your marketing. And then you help those people retain those customers. Is that kind of 4 steps?
Yes, 100%. And it usually goes into one. So for us, like you say, deliver awesome, we call it the red carpet rollout.
There we go.
You're
That's it.
good. We roll
You
out
got
the
some
red
nice words.
carpet because
So what is that customer? Because I want the people watching this who've stuck around this far to know, where are you going to help most? So tell us a little bit about that customer.
100%. So the individuals that I work with already know what they're selling. So if you don't know what you're selling yet, or if you're still kind of testing it out, you're not ready for me, because what we would build, you might not even like in the future, right? Or you might not be ready to use it. I usually say, don't start adding in the tech until you're like selling the things, right? And if somebody wants to buy the thing, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, amazing. Just keep it moving and don't slow down. Once you know what you're selling and you're able to sell that service, that thing that you're doing, right? Then we start to look at, okay, great. What steps are you taking within this process? And then we start to automate those steps. So you need to be putting people through. So my clients usually are at least making 10K per month.
Got it.
And I'm not saying you need to be doing that for 6 to 12 months before you get started. No, like if you're hitting 10K and then you're getting 10K and then you're like, man, it's getting busy. And you're like, this is what I'm selling. This is what I'm doing. Get help so you can keep doing that and you don't burn out.
Perfect. So then let's find out a little bit about how you do it. So if I'm that customer and I've done 2 10K months and I'm feeling a bit busy, and this is exactly what happened in my first business, so I remember that feeling. What's the engagement timeline? Because I know you and I met through what you and I both do a lot of, which is kind of free taster sessions, helping people over a period of hours implement something that could get them a quick result. So is the preferred path taster sessions, or do you want people to be working with you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What's the ideal scenario? Where are you going to get the most amount of impact for them?
The way that I work with most of my clients is, first we do what I call an audit. So we literally do an audit where we get on a call, we go through your process and everything like that, just to really see, even if we don't work together.
This is before you start.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So free taster, free audit session.
Correct.
Vital that you're listening to this, people.
Yes.
If you're in this category, take advantage of that, because even if you didn't do anything commercially, wouldn't it be best to just have a perspective, a third eye, take a look at what you're doing right now?
100%. And we tell everybody that's even coming into this call, just because we're doing this call does not mean we're even going to open an invite to you. We don't know that we are going to be a place where we should work together, where you should even, right? So what we say is, listen, we'll do an audit. We'll see if we can save you. More often than not, we find at least 5 hours per week we can get you back your time during this audit. So we help you kind of focus down, and we can eliminate something and save you 5 hours per week minimum on the audit. as when we're finishing up the audit, depending on business, where you're at and how everything kind of flows and where we feel. If we decide to make an invite, we ask that you apply, and then there's additional things that you fill out because there is an application process in order to work. So you apply, and then from there, if we get on a call, if we decide to work together, the first phase of working together is 4 months. And that's because systems take time.
Yes. But I
Systems
think it's
take
crucial what you
time.
said.
Yes.
You've got this, we're out to save 5 hours a week. So if I
Yep.
think about that just mathematically over the course of a year,
Mhm.
your delivery biggest benefit is this: 30 working days back. And they don't have to use it for work, right? They could use it for
Yep.
freedom and going to the movies like you and I do in the afternoons. Or they could take that 30 days
Yeah.
and divert it to where they can spend more time doing what they excel at, which could be delivery, it could be selling, it could be marketing, it could be something else. But I love that 5 hour number, because why 5 hours in a week might seem a lot, might not seem a lot. It's 30 days, 30 working days a year. That's a lot of time. I think that's a phenomenal model for those people watching this. If you are feeling burnt out and you could do a 30 days back in your life, this looks like a conversation for you. Yeah, I love that. And 4 months is your typical time frame.
That's the first phase of working together. Correct.
Yeah. And
yes.
I think a lot of models like that is just get going. And then when you realize the value of it, let's sign yourself up for a retainer. Do you do 12-month retainers or longer?
So it just really depends on where they're at the end of the first phase, because we usually do within our first phase, we focus on the 3 main systems, right? The lead gen conversion and like the delivery retention is bundled into one.
Nice.
And then we do what's called a test and assess. And that's where we run your systems ragged and we see where, make sure everything is working, everything is doing what it should be doing.
Sure.
And then we get on a call and we're like, okay, based on where you're at in your business, does it make sense to stay here and get to know these systems a little bit more, maybe expand on them, make them do a little bit more. Maybe you don't even need that. Maybe there's something down and you just need a little bit of support.
So
or do we go to the next level?
In the interest of time. So in the interest of time, I want to flip the script a little bit.
Yeah.
But based on all those things you just said, the kind of deliciousness of what you do and how you do it, at the end, in a moment, I'm going to ask you, where can people find you? But more importantly, where can they read up about these testimonials, to see how this has worked for other people? Because I think it's fine for them to see you here today and get excited and go, Heather could be right for me. But to know you and then to trust you because I can see that evidence, that would be good. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to flip it.
Okay.
Because it's not all rosy, right, in your world.
It's
so I want to show you a little bit about what I do. Would you give me permission to do that?
Oh, 100%. Let's rock it. Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm going to ask you, what are you challenged with? What are the headwinds that you find in your business? Because I don't want people to feel like everything's smooth and everything's rosy and you've just got clients coming in, you got great lead generation, great lead conversion, everyone's delighted, and you don't lose any customers, they stay forever. That's not reality. So tell me a bit about your challenges and, right now, what would be 1 or 2 things that we could talk about? And perhaps I could give you a 3-step plan right here.
Yeah.
Watching who has similar challenges can walk away with that same plan.
100%. So for me, being the person that I am and loving the back end, right? Is for me, it's funny because when I built my business, I felt like I built it backwards. I built everything on the back end and then started to be like, oh, let me dial in my front end, which a lot of my front end is like retention and referrals and stuff like that. However, consistent lead generation is always because for me, once again, I have a PTSD from the military as well. And that's another reason why I also like to do like the behind the scenes and also create space to have a day where I'm just like, I can't do it and everything still works. So for me, it's always the consistent front end leads. And even though I can build the crap out of somebody's like, if you're getting consistent front end leads, I can take those suckers, maneuver them through. But for me to be like, all right, let me do this Facebook post or go live and do these things.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. I always think about this as a kind of quadrant where if you think at the top of, if I can do this on the screen, online at the top, offline mechanisms at the bottom.
Yep.
And then you've got recorded and then you've got live on the kind of horizontal axis. So like a good example would be online and live is not this. but it would be the live version of this. A streamed
Right.
version of our conversation would be an online live.
Yeah.
So can you give me some examples of maybe online live, and then offline live would be speaking on stage?
Mhm.
That would be a good example. And then you'd have offline recorded would be magazines,
Yep.
flyers, things like that. It's recorded on a piece of paper and then it's given to someone, but it's offline. And then you've got offline live, which is face-to-face meetings. What else might have? You could consider podcast
Yep.
and radio interviews are kind of offline, so they're not on the internet, but they are live, and that's going out as well. So where do you
Yep.
spend your time? What is the kind of activities that you like
Yeah.
to do the most?
That I like to do the most, I like to not do any of them at all. If choosing wisely
So
in
Heather needs
choices.
the lead generation team. Yeah.
However, as a business owner, right? That's one thing. Like I was like, oh man, I gotta sell things and like go online and like put my face on there. Luckily, I had a teenager that helped me get in front of the camera because once again, I was always behind the scenes.
Yep.
So I'm a lot better at it. So my online live is usually either client case study interviews, or also I like to geek out and literally just share my camera and build stuff
Nice.
while going live. That's like, for me, that's where I'm most comfortable. Like I just want to like work through something and I can talk while I'm building it, and I want to show people how I'm building it and how it's all working. So that's my online live, along with, sometimes where I just pick up and I'm like, I just talk, right? The offline live, like the events and stuff, right? Is that what so in-person events,
You're still, to an extent, you're still online live.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a webinar
Yeah.
or a training
Yep.
session, that's kind of online live.
Yep.
But if you're doing that and it's not streamed,
Yeah.
it's kind of offline, and you might stream some of the content later. Yeah, that
Yep.
would be a good example. Okay.
Okay.
So what are the primary channels? Are you using digital platforms like Facebook and Instagram? Where are you primary working?
I'm a simple girl. I honed in on one. So for me, Facebook has been my
Facebook.
primary. However, I seem to have a good amount of followers also on LinkedIn and TikTok, but I am
Yeah.
not really in conversation as much as I am on Facebook. Like Facebook has
Okay.
been my primary. I get the whole diversification at the beginning thing, but then I was also like, let me just focus down and keep my sanity. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to diversify.
Got it. All right. So here's some things that come up immediately, and then we can kind of talk a little bit about how can people find you.
Yep.
So I don't know if anyone else heard this, but the number one thing I heard, if we are struggling with lead generation, one of the things that maybe is missing is a dedicated focus on audience growth.
Mhm.
Or list growth. You always hear about list building courses, list building programs. I'm far more simple about that. I just look at my channels, and you've said this, so you said it out loud just a moment ago. Is the audience growing over time? And if it isn't, what are we doing to drive that? And so we can do it with thought leadership content, which sounds like you may be doing that in Facebook, certainly, where people can see your content and then they can like and comment, but more importantly, can follow you. So you can track your audience growth over time. So this would be something I would say to you is look at audience growth and start tracking it month by month in the channels that you want to work in. I do think, given the age of your business, that you've been doing this more than 12 months and you've created business in Facebook, which means you're getting good at Facebook, if not good enough to get clients routinely. It's a good idea to start just replicating and testing in those other channels. And the reason I say that is because I'm not always been a subscriber once your business is established and you've got clients to one channel, one product for 1 year, that kind of stuff. Because Dan Kennedy, the god of, he's working with Russell Branson right now, would tell us one of the most dangerous things in marketing is the number one channel is actually dangerous when you're trying to be seen and get known by more people. And the art of lead generation is get known. In the word of Grant Cardone, he would say, the difference between me and you is I got known. Get known, get your name out there, and just keep making sure that you are publicized in multiple different channels. That's why I use that kind of matrix to start get you thinking about where else could I go that I'm going to enjoy, where I'm mostly behind the scenes, actually.
Yep.
And for you, offline might be an option to start looking at. But in online world, how do I do it so that I'm not in front of camera? So that's option number one. And that's kind of what I would think about. Audience growth, list, think about my list. You've got an offer. We talked about your offer. You're already delivering awesome red carpet. We got the red carpet rolled out. So we know that clients who work with you get a great experience. And I think the one thing you said that was great is you're showing them behind the scenes. Yeah, do more of that. I would just level that up. Because you're a behind the scenes person, do more showing what goes on behind the scenes rather than telling them I can help you.
Right.
I would do that. Let me show you how I just set this thing up. Do a little video and just pump it out. If you want to know how to do this thing, watch this video. And just show them the behind the scenes. You just show. That's a really good way for them to not feel like they're being told. So your potential customers, but also introduce them to you so they can get that like, know, and trust factor of you're just telling me how to do it for free. And if we're truthful, we can look at the world of Google and YouTube today and know everything is shown already.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't it be nice to actually do it with somebody? And I think you and I both work on a do it with you model rather than a pass the information, tell them what to do and then let them do it. It's not a very good model. So that would be the second thing that came up. And then what was the other thing I thought about as you were talking? Oh yeah. So even though you want to be behind the scenes, I think you doing this with people like me, but who are your clients and your partners is going to introduce a new market to you and get people to start seeing you. So it's a casual conversation where you're talking to potential prospects as well as potential partners or people you are working with who have, frankly, by the way, folks, we don't have a commercial relationship. We're not trying to sell you anything here. We are partners in what we do is that we share stories. So we're sharing a story here. I'm sharing this video with you so you get to know who Heather is. She will likely share this somewhere else so people get to know who I am, but more importantly, so people get to really know about her business and why did she do it and how did she get there? Because we're answering questions that people need to know. So that would be my next thing is, even though video may not be your primary thought, doing it like this under the safety and security blanket of having a known presence with you would be I think it'll be a really good lead generation tool for people who get to see you. And if you wanted, your teenagers could help you create the YouTube channel. So just start building the content there, even though you're not looking for clients from there.
Right.
That's your get rich slowly strategy. YouTube takes time. But if you just start posting those interviews there and also your video trainings and just kind of build that repository, you can categorize everything in there. That's something I would tell you that like video. And I think now if we're off the back with AI, we really should be connected to those two things, even if we don't need to dominate the space, just to get our information out so people know who we are. So the getting known piece would be really important for your lead gen. Is that helpful?
Oh, it is. And I like doing stuff like this. So I'm already like, who can I interview? Because it's just so much more fun.
A simple exercise for you, write the 20 prospects that you would like to work with on a sheet of paper.
Okay.
These need to be the people who can afford your services for a 12-month period, not just for the 4 months, because you want them to convert and be with you all the time. It's one of your things, retention.
Yeah.
How do you do that for your business? Well, find people who can pay you right out the gate. So that might mean looking up the food chain, thinking they'll never want to work with me. Well, until we ask, we don't know.
Right.
So then interview them, how they got their business where it is and how you might be able to help them. Because, I don't want you to sell in there, but I do want you to share information. Right. So that's your prospects. Then repeat the process with partners where you're interviewing somebody who would be a good referral for you. So in your world, a whole list of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I know you're in communities. Go to those communities and find the entrepreneurs who are the most successful and interview them on your channel. And they're the people who are going to then refer people to you as what's the name of your program? I didn't know the name.
The Freedom Formula.
The Freedom Formula. The Freedom Formula referral agents are the partners. And if you want to, you can set up commercial relationships with them. But the key thing is to interview the superstars. You ever think about any chat show you've ever watched, whether it was Fallon or Kimmel or, David Letterman and Jay Leno, all these shows, who do we have an affinity with? Is it the guests or the host? It's the host, right?
Yeah.
So you're just hosting, but people get to go, oh, here's Heather with another great client. What's Heather asking today? In the UK, I always think about this thing, the Graham Norton show. I don't know if you've ever seen the Graham Norton show.
No.
But he's a kind of the equivalent of like Letterman or Leno in the UK. But he has a cult following for him because that thing's been running so long, like decades now. So it's a good thing. Yeah. And all the Hollywood stars and everyone else goes on that show. But that's the kind of thing, is just to create a showcase of what you do for your clients without selling them anything, just telling them how you can help. And then the prospects is then getting them to know what you can do so they can send people to you.
Yeah.
Because no doubt, coaching female entrepreneurs who've got kids who need help with systems and they're making 10K a month and they're freaking out and burning out and all that stuff. So I want to wrap this up. This has been awesome. It's been really, really good. We're going to put this up on YouTube, folks. We're going to put this into the show notes. We'll put some stuff in there for you so you've got information about how to contact Heather. But let's say that out loud. How do people find you? You said Facebook. Is that where you would like people to come?
They can find me on Facebook. I'm at the Heather Hargrove. And then my website is just heatherhargrove.com. So nice and simple.
And look, if you missed it earlier, or you've just tuned in and skipped to the end of this, you were offered a free audit of your business. So if you would like a free audit for someone to take a look at your lead generation, your lead conversion, to help you with delivering awesome or providing the red carpet treatment and then the customer retention, then you really owe it to yourself to take advantage of that free opportunity. There is no obligation. You're going to get a ton of value out of it, and you'll probably walk away with 5 or 6 different ideas. And if you can implement those and they have an impact, then maybe you'll just decide, I need to employ Heather and her team to help me get the results that I'm looking for. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you. Yes, this is great.
Bye-bye to folks. So we'll say bye-bye.